doesn't change any of that, right? It came from that environment of speaking the same way I speak in person, and then these messages online is okay, and in emails it's okay. It's how people appreciate you. And then she started to dissect what I did, and she's like, tell me from start to finish, what do you do when a client meets in discovery? So I gave her each step, and she's like, okay, and now they're a client, and now what? And I gave her each step, and she was like, you do all of this? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, so tell me the stories. Tell me some client stories. So I was like, well, you know, I had one client that came to me in May of 2022. She was at about 225, and she closed out 2022 at 765. And she was like, Kelly, do you realize what you just said? And she was like, okay, I'm gonna hold that. What's the next one? I was like, so I had another one. She's been in business for 16 years, and she's been full-time buyer for 16 years, and she was burning herself out in her business, and she just kind of wasn't sure what to do next. She came in about 150, and she's been with me almost 3 years now, and last year we hit 1.1. And she was like, million? She was like, you realize on average, you just told me you're 3 to 4x people's income, and on average 5 to 6 months.
Y'all, welcome to Friends with Businesses, where I expose you to my friends with businesses, and I know that you will benefit. I'm Carl Gray, your business solutions architect, and today I'm joined with somebody who I have not seen in almost 25 years. Miss Kelle, is it Kelle or Kelle? You know, we called you Kelle.
I know everything. It's Kelle today, 25 years later.
Okay, cool. So it's Kelle, because it was Kelle to me. Because when you put something right there, I'm going to acknowledge the joint, the accent, right? So, I'm so glad we went to Parkdale High School together, class of 2000. We're just telling her how, like, we look better than people our age looked when we was, back then. As I said, Carl Winslow was 37, and I'm sure Carl Gray does not look as old as Carl Winslow looked way back then. So, again, we had these conversations because I have friends who do some dope stuff. And Kelle is a fractional CFO, and I promise you, I'm probably going to have a program when we're fractional something for somebody because it's like the sound of it, right?
Yeah.
But can you tell the people, who you are and what a fractional CFO is, and just we're going to dive right into it.
Yeah, thanks for the space. This is so dope. I'm so blessed and happy that we get to reconnect in this space, right? It really is a blessing that we're both in this space. We're great, we're healthy, and we're doing good. So yeah. Awesome. But yes, so I am a fractional CFO. My business is Commas with Kelle. So I show CEO entrepreneurs how to spend strategically to drive up profits, optimize productivity, and stay in their zone of genius. Most CEOs and entrepreneurs are burning themselves out in their businesses, and that's not why they started their business, right? Usually they started their business because either they hated working for somebody else and they wanted that flexibility, or they may have children and a family and they want to do the soccer games and go to cheerleading and do all the things. But then you start a business and you're in the rat race. You're checking your phone at the game. You're not tuned in to your family because you're burning yourself out and you're doing all these things in your business, right? So actually fractional is this new buzzword in entrepreneurship. I'm sure you've heard like fractional CMOs, fractional COOs.
Me, I'm a fractional COO. That's what I do.
Okay. Yeah, so it's the new buzzword over the last couple of years in entrepreneurship. And it means just what it looks like. It means you have whatever the C-suite executive is on your team for a fraction of the time for a fraction of the cost, right? So a lot of people, when they see a fractional CFO, they like, oh, Lord, I can't afford her services. I can't afford them. So let's just move on. Let me go on back to my bookkeeper, and we just gonna stay on with the bookkeeper. So I try to do a lot of educating on my platforms to tell people what we do as a fractional CFO, because I think it's very misleading to think that you don't need one when Fortune 500 companies didn't get to Fortune 500 without fractional or without CFO and financial strategy. And that's what a CFO does, is give you financial strategy, right? So how do you stay in the bookkeeping lane once you get beyond the first six figures if you're in this for longevity and for the legacy of your business to carry on?
So look, you said a lot, and I don't even be taking those. I just happen to have a pen here. It's like, I'm like, okay, she's jumping down. So because one thing I like about this is I bring people on here who do what I cannot do.
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, don't come to me and ask me how to do your books. Are you serious? Like I wrote a book. That's it. With your book? No. So, all right. My first question is, what is the difference between a bookkeeper and a CFO? Period. Because I know, I'm in the audit space, so I work with CFOs all the time, and I understand that piece. But most people think that it's really just about ticking time, debits, and credits. But let people know, what a CFO do, a chief financial officer would do.
Yes. So let's start with the bookkeeper piece. So a bookkeeper is your transactional person. So they pull your transactions, depending on what software you use. We'll take QuickBooks, and they pull them into a bank feed, and they categorize those transactions and put them onto your accounting books. And then they'll do a bank reconciliation for you to make sure everything ticks and ties. And usually you'll get your financial statements, a P&L, and a balance sheet, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, depending on how you're set up. And that's a bookkeeper. A CFO then takes those reports and looks at the back end of the strategy and tells you what the story is behind those numbers. So many a times entrepreneurs, or even not even just entrepreneurs, I came from the C-suite in a $2 billion law firm before I started my business. And they don't even look at the reports. They had me. That's what they had me there for, right? So entrepreneurs definitely aren't looking at them. And if y'all are, you just want to see how much money you bought in last month. If you hit that high ticket offer that you were selling, or your price point that you wanted to be, and boom, I did it. But what does that tell you? That doesn't really tell you a whole lot, because that doesn't tell you how sustainable you are over the next 6 months for the rest of the year, right? So that's what a CFO does. We take those financial reports that you get from your bookkeeper, and you drag them and drop them in your email file or on your cloud file storage system, and don't look at till tax time. And then you want us to work some magic. Yeah, we take those and do something with them and provide you with financial strategy.
See, and I think that's what, so many entrepreneurs need. And I think this is what separates the men from the boys, the ones who just have a self-employed 9-to-5 to those who actually have a actual business or organization, is strategy, right? Like strategy, I'm learning is, because I'm a business solutions architect. So all I think is strategy. And I think everybody thinks strategy.
Right.
Like I'm always, I think about strategy too much sometimes, where I'm like, hey, I find a new or this, that, and the other, telling the story. But it's up to me to, really help have people in my organization who can really do day-to-day stuff. But that's what separates us so often, is people don't have a strategy moving forward. So we kind of take what we can get. And sometimes it sustains us because what we're getting is good, but we're not about sustainability. Our people have done that for too long. We're about building legacy. This goes beyond. I mean, sustainability is good, but it's a level above that. Because I mentioned, that first 6 figures, honestly, is not that hard.
It's not easily.
But let's talk about that.
No, so it's funny because I did not realize what I was doing in my client's business as far as how much I was 3xing, 5xing their revenue in the time frames until the last 4 or 5 months. So 4 or 5 months ago, I started working with a coach to help me with messaging. And when I sat down with the messaging coach, we realized that my messaging was still very much corporate messaging, right? So I've been in the corporate space. And like I said, I was in the C-suite of a $2 billion firm. In my last position, I was the only Black woman in the firm, and I was in the C-suite position, and there was only one other Black person in the whole firm. So I wasn't in very diverse cultures where I've worked in the C-suite for almost 20 years. So, which that's a whole other podcast we could do of how we conform to the cultures that we're in, right? So I was telling her in my first or second session that this is who I am. Like, she's like, no, like, who are you really? And I literally had nothing else for her, because who I become in the C-suite was who I was. And she told me, she was like, no, when we're on these Zoom sessions, you're delivering your language and your assertiveness and like you're a matter of fact. And I know my shit, it comes across different than your content on your platforms. And I was like,
so I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? I know you. You know, you dated my cousin. Right? You know, wait, this is high school, y'all, so no matter. But like, and so I'm sitting here, I'm like this, and I see you got the tattoo right here, and all that type of stuff. You know, I mean, like the same way I wear my hair. You know, all of these things. Like, it's like, yeah, and you know, I know you said we talked about another podcast, but that's part of what this podcast is about. It's, you know, like, it's my friends with business, but it's also, I recognize where I come from, right? And where we come from. You know, I live in Kent, right? All right?
And Palmer. When I tell people, hey, I grew, they be like,
thank you. It's like, yo, like, yeah, this is who we are. And part of what I love about this, and even who I bring on, it's a celebration of our culture. Now, not everybody came from the hood like us. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody, you know, you have diverse different ways, but no matter what it is, our culture needs to be celebrated. And you mentioned something, and we're going to get back into this 3X thing. But you mentioned something about conforming to culture. And I tell people all the time, not only do I not code switch, I don't know how to. This is how I speak. Yeah, I mean, you know, I get my passion, and you know, every once in a while I'll be talking to a CFO, COO, CEO, whoever it is, and I'm gonna say, young. Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's not gonna change. But I'm like, you see my hair? You know, I came in here a Negro. Yeah, like, you know, and but there's nothing wrong with that. We still got the skills.
Yeah, no. So when she brought it to my attention, she was like, so it's okay to be humble, but it's important for you to tell people these results, because that's what drives people to come is results. So you need to start speaking the results. So in that journey was when I started speaking, and I started actually asking my clients who had these results, hey, do you mind giving a testimonial? And one of them, she just arbitrarily gave a testimonial on a masterclass that I did. And I was like, okay, this is a thing. So I always knew when I take on new people and I'm in discovery phase that I'm not going to, I have a bookkeeping team and we do bookkeeping. So if you come to me and you're like, I kind of want to see what this fractional CFO space looks like, not sure if I'm ready. And either one of two things, either I see, hell yeah, you're ready. You're just afraid to start at that investment point, which we can talk about too. Which I know you can afford it. I've already seen your financials. I know you can afford it. I know I'm going to get you the money back to be able to afford this plus some. So this is not going to be an issue in less than 3 months max, I'll give you. So I'll put you in bookkeeping. You can come on over here. You'll go on my bookkeeping team, and I'll just watch from the bookkeeping afar and begin strategizing behind the scenes, and you'll migrate on over to full fractional CFO services, which usually is what happens. Or they take the leap and they're like, all right, the first tier of investment is $11.50 a month. Okay, I'll do $11.50 a month. I'm scared as hell, Kelle, because I don't know, but I'm gonna trust you and I'm gonna do it. And it never fails. By month 3 or 4, they're just like, all right, they don't even want to meet with me no more. I'm like, this the monthly strategy session that we're going over. They're like, yeah, no, I'm good this month, because they got it. They already know that the money has already started taking the turn and they're in a better place. So it's an interesting dynamic that I love being in.
No, it's not interesting, it's miraculous. All right. So because again, so I'm in my business, right? And so in some cases, I do business process reorganization, right? Done it for years, some of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
And when I do that, like I'll increase margins because I'm removing certain things, all that type of stuff. I'll do that. But I very rarely, unless I'm helping someone to either create a product or sell a product, I don't increase revenue, right?
I disagree with that.
Really? Talk to me. Tell me.
It's an indirect increase of revenue. I'll give you an example. Okay. So one of my C-suite.
Because that's what I'm going to ask you. This is obviously what you do. Don't you like,
you like tell me. No, because you need to do the same thing. And that's part of actually your pivot of messaging, right? Because one of my positions in the C-suite, I had a dual role as the CAO and the CFO. So I was the chief admin officer and CFO. So on the admin side, it was more of what you're talking about, like operational, organizational stuff, dissecting the systems, making things run more efficiently, streamlining the processes. Can we be more lean on staff, or do we need beef up more staff? Do we need to recategorize where some of these staff members are? All in your lane of things that you do, right? So when I did that, but I had the dual hat, I had the advantage point of saying, yes, I'm not directly bringing in money, but I'm increasing revenue because the things I'm doing is optimizing the systems that either they currently have or bringing in systems that are going to help reduce the time that people are spending, which is putting money back into the firm, or reduce the staff. So when I had the dual hat, I could do the numbers. So for example, at that firm, this was 5 years, this was in 2015, long before COVID. One of the first things I saw is they were a law firm that, I don't want to say the industry, because if you go back to my LinkedIn, you'll be able to figure out which one it was. So it was a law firm that made it very, very easy to go paperless, right? Because everything they did was kind of on the cloud or electronic.
Okay.
So it was one of the things that I'm like, okay, if we continue down this path of going paperless, we can reduce storage, we can reduce on-site and off-site storage fees. We can potentially reduce staff. We can change our software. Yes, we'll need to buy this more expensive software, but we now no longer have an $8,000 storage fee. So this is going to offset this. We ended up giving back 30% of the office space because we no longer needed the wing that had storage. So when I did all that calculation, it saved them $340,000 a year. That's an increase in revenue. So you're doing that. That's what you're doing. So you just need to start doing
This is crazy. No, like you say, the numbers tell the story, right? The numbers. So okay, all right. So I'm sold. What was all? No, I mean, I'll be because again, like I know what I'm good at, and I know what what's the word? Serviceable, as they would say in the football. It's like, hey, it's getting done.
No.
But this is amazing, and one of the things that I'm very much an advocate of, and I'm also training myself in is who, not how. And this is what I tell everybody. It's a great book, Dan Sullivan. And you talked about it earlier. The first thing I wrote down, that zone of genius.
Yes.
Right. It's not even a zone of excellence, zone of that thing that you can do in your sleep, not thinking about. Like I was just doing a coaching session, a one-to-many coaching session, and I literally did not plan it at all. All I did was hot seat the whole 90 minutes.
Because it's your lane.
Right. Everybody, what's your idea? Let's tweak it. Punch it up. The whole time. I said, I'm not going to plan it because I didn't go to sleep till 9 a.m. this morning. and
I know that story.
Right. And the session was at noon. So, I was like, I'm just gonna hot seat everybody. Yeah. And they were like, oh, this is amazing, this is great. That's my zone of genius, right? My zone of excellence is like PowerPoint presentation.
Exactly.
I can do that piece of it, but you just talked about and the reason that I say that is we have to start craving to operate in our zone of genius.
That part. That's the key. When you ask how I do it, is because by the time I strip you of the financial worry and you have someone like me in your corner that is for your vision. A lot of people are surprised when they first hit discovery with me. I don't ask numbers. I ask, tell me why you started your business. What's your vision for your business? What made you start it? Tell me the highlights. What has happened? What dope stuff have you accomplished since you started this business? Now let's talk about what's your pain points. What's these things? And the reason I do that is to see how dedicated you still are. Are you really burnt out? Or is it just the stuff you're doing in your business that has you feeling burnt out? That's the first thing I want to see. And the other thing is, because I know that's where your zone is and that's what you crave in conversation, and you can talk to me all day about what that is that you do, right? And that's of interest to me because when I'm strategizing behind your numbers, I'm going to keep in mind, okay, Carl said his zone of genius is helping people revitalize or build their offers and helping them learn how to sell better. Why the hell did I just see him spending 2 hours on a PowerPoint presentation when he could have hired somebody and just sent that stuff over there and let them chat GPT and use his notes as best that they could and come up with a draft and send him a draft? He just spent 2 hours we got his rate at $200 an hour when you could have paid a VA $150 to do it. You're wasting my time, Carl.
I know. And my rate's actually $500. But yeah, but you're correct.
So that's the point. And this, to your point of what you said, like people have to know that and stop being scared. You can't be a scary entrepreneur. Like it's just not. You can't be scared. Like you're wasting money scared because that's exactly what you're doing.
Oh, all right. Put this in. We're just gonna be a real. She said you wasting money scared. Go ahead, y'all. Oh, we're gonna figure. My mind's churning already. You know that. My mind's churning.
Because just look, if people are stay in their zone of genius, right? $500 an hour. You stay in your zone. You gotta work half the time. Mm-hmm. You might love one of the tasks that I do when I get somebody like you as a client, and I'm like, all right, I see he like it over here. You know what I call that PowerPoint side? That's your procrastination side of the box. I got 4 boxes, right? I'm like, all right, this the box. This is the box up here on my upper. I'm talking to you. I know. This is the box on my upper left-hand side. That's your high revenue box. That's where I need you to live to bring in all this 5X I'm talking. The box on the right is them PowerPoint presentations, that research, that review, all of that stage right there. That's I'm high optimizing my time at doing these because this is also my zone, but that doesn't mean that's where I should live. That means I need to hire someone and let them be my right hand and groom them to do this zone for me. And then you got the other 2 boxes that are just like stuff I hate to do, like maybe social media management or something, but I haven't quite outsourced it yet. And then the left box is the maybe stuff. That's the stuff that maybe you need to be doing. Like, I don't know, what can I think of in your industry? Like maybe you should be helping people while you're helping them learn how to better sell. They need coaching and messaging, but you don't do messaging coaching, but you're trying to figure out how to do messaging coaching, but that ain't your lane. So you wasting time when you need to just collaborate with a messaging coach and then we can bring this up here. So that's typically how the 4 quadrants of how it works, right? And then you got 5X. So if you stay in your zone of genius.
I know. It's crazy.
Like you said, it's easy to make the 6 figures. Getting beyond the first 6 figures.
Yeah.
And not burn yourself out and be rat crazy. That's like the part.
because I had a 6-figure week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Congrats.
it was from one client. I was like, oh, this is
Yep.
crazy. And I was like, oh, I can do this again. But what the problem was, I did everything to get there. I did everything to get there. I mean, there were a couple things I outsourced to my assistants, my VAs, but for the most part, I did everything. And I was like, doing that again, rough.
Yeah.
Worth it. I mean, of course, 6 figures in a week. I was like, oh, great, $125,000 check. Oh, that's wonderful.
And that's when a fractional CFO will sit down with you and be like, all right, dope. That's the highlight for our monthly meeting.
Yes.
How can we recreate this, but in a different time frame, in a different setting, to make the same amount of money, but spread it out a little bit, and you don't have to work that hard by yourself.
And what's crazy is, and I talk to people all the time. I say this all the time. Every coach needs a coach.
Yes.
Because that's exactly the process I'll take my clients through. Be like, oh, this was great. Now let's make it easier on you to make the same amount.
Yeah.
Right. But doctors can't heal themselves.
That's a good one.
It does not happen. Everybody gets better results from your work than you do. Everybody.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's like, I mean, you know, it's like, oh, wait, like, how in the world? Like I tell my clients, you're going to make more money than me, and I will. It's going to happen. Yeah. Which is why, you know, I have coaches that I'll make more money from them than I pay them. That's the point.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the point.
And I know a number of people who watch this, who do this, are kind of in this coaching, consulting, entrepreneur, solopreneur space. And literally every week, just last week, I had somebody who does intellectual property, a lawyer that does intellectual property, NIL. And it's been a continuous theme. To get to the next level, I hired a coach. To get to the next level, I hired somebody who is better at something I need than I am.
Yep.
We got to continue to do that. But here, got a question. Because I know some people out there like, all right, so this sounds great, but is it for me? Right? Mm-hmm. The answer is automatically yes. However, what do they need to have to come to you? Is there revenue they need to have? Is any type of system they need to have? In order to come see you, what should they have?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, and it's one that I built out on my website too. You need a fractional CFO and there's 4 bullet points. And usually you've already had a bookkeeper, right? You have a bookkeeper and someone that's maintaining your books, but you're doing like I talked about earlier. You're just dragging and dropping them reports into a file and you're not paying them any attention. And then at tax season, you want surgery to happen. The next person is don't make a face that they won't know what I'm talking about you. The next person is you could be DIYing, right? Like maybe you don't mind the numbers too much. So you're still trying to keep up with your own QuickBooks and but you're not quite staying in there as much as you should. You pop in and out once a week. You start it out, then maybe once a month and so forth. And then the next bucket is you already launched beyond the first 6 figures, right? You're beyond the first 6 figures. You're full-time in your business. It's what's keep the lights on for you. But you're not sure how to create, I say sustainability, but I use that loosely to not minimize what you make, but how to spread it out over time and manage the wealth so it works for you. Because part of my team is investment advisors, right? So once we get to the point in strategy, then I start talking to them and saying, hey, she came in making $250 this year. She's at $675. We need to A, figure out how to lessen her tax liabilities, and B, talk about how to do this investments for her. Because the other thing in entrepreneurship that we typically aren't doing, and I was even guilty of this until this year, is you're so used to a 9-to-5 W-2 job that if you were taking advantage of the 401k over there, it was automatic coming out of your paycheck. And now you're in entrepreneurship and that just stopped. Ain't nothing happening in that area.
Stop talking about me.
Sorry.
I had a job at 10 years.
So you just gonna do this in front of my face, and you just gonna let it just talk about me right in front of me.
I ain't had a job in 10 years, so that's when I had a 401k. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, so you're at that point. You're like, I got beyond the first 6 figures. Not too sure if I'm ready for a CFO, but I need to figure out my long-term goals and plans. And there is no minimum. Like, I don't tell people you got to be at 6 figures to work work with me. I have a client who, she still has her 9 to 5 in her business. She's working on it in hopes by mid next year she can transition full time in it. She's not at 6 figures yet. She stepped out on faith, and it's like, I've seen the results. I know someone who personally gotten them for. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in and go full fractional CFO so I can get the strategy piece and you can help me get there. I took her on because I know that she got it, and I know I can get her there, right? So book a strategy session. There is no cost. They're free. You can go to my website. There's an inquire now process. There's like an application that may take you 5 minutes to fill out. It's a little form that you flow through. It comes to my inbox, and that's when I begin dissecting to see, okay, where I think you may fall, either in bookkeeping. We can go straight fractional CFO. I do have a membership too. So there's 3 options that we can entertain, and then we can take it from there. So there's those are the buckets that you could potentially, I would say, book a strategy if you fall in any of those categories.
This is crazy amazing. I'm so glad. I'm really glad that we're doing this. It's opening my eyes a whole lot. Making me feel bad, but hey, it is what it is.
Sorry.
Yeah. But okay, all right. Here we go. So, how big is your team?
I have 5 people.
Oh, yeah. You gotta look up.
No, because I need to expand more. That's my hard thing. So how I knew you lived over there in the stratosphere of PowerPoint and IT stuff, because that's what I do. Like, it took me a while to get a bookkeeping team because that's the side that I'm like, I can sit behind these computers and move transactions all night and all day long. And so I'm at a point where I need to expand even more because I'm still sitting behind a desk doing more things than I probably should be doing.
Well, we are grown, we talk. Yeah, cause like, so I don't do my PowerPoints anymore. I just
look. So
I do like the outline of it, pretty much. I'm like, hey, Joni, because I got 2 right now. I got Joni and I got Angie. Yeah. Angie does like my video stuff. Joni does some of my more high level things and things like that. But yeah, so all right. So your team's 5 people. I'm gonna ask you a question. You don't have to answer it. How much money y'all make?
Sure. So I launched in the pandemic. I started full time for myself in February 1st, 2021. I went full time. July 2020 was when I got my first client, and I was working in the C-suite and my business on the side. I launched my first year at multiple 6 figures. And it was, I tell people all the time, they're like, it was easy, honestly. And I'm hesitant to say that because I realized in the pandemic, most people lost their businesses. So I'm being sensitive to that.
I started mine. No, I actually just did a whole episode about that. So no, it's
yeah.
real.
And I think I know it's because of the industry I'm in, right? The same for you. Right. The industry you're in has the impact. So I launched at multiple 6 figures my first year. My second year, I stayed around that lower multiple 6 figure point. And this year, in year 3, I'm still at multiple, but I'm going to be a little less. Because I took some steps back to get coaching. Because the first 2 years, it was just God and the blessing. And I enjoyed working in the C-suite. So I wasn't the entrepreneur that hated my job and was like, one day I'm gonna work for myself. I just kind of got pushed into this. So now at year 3, I was like, oh, I guess I'm at this, and I'm nearly unemployable at this point. So I think I need some strategy for me, like you were saying. I need coaching. So this year I took a step back on my client load to make room for me to actually get coaching and make time for me to use the coaching that I paid for. That's another thing.
Addition by subtraction. Yeah, I did the same. I'm doing the same thing. Like, I don't know if you saw, during the challenge I did last week, I wasn't able to do some of the work that I was supposed to. And, unfortunately, I didn't do all that I should have done. I mean, I still made a lot of money. I mean, not a lot of money. I made relative. I was like, oh, because when it came time to close the last day, I was like, I was getting DMs. Hey, take my money, take my money. I'm like, okay, I did it. But I'm gonna, definitely gonna do better at it the next time. But you said something very, very important, and you let me know when you running out of time, because I know you're busy. I don't want to take all the fractions of your time. I'm taking somebody else's fraction. But you mentioned something about, you launched your business during the pandemic, and I launched actually 2 businesses during the pandemic. Like, I see opportunity, and I needed money because I was doing consulting for somebody who a large organization, but they need to switch all of their resources. So the first people know consulting, obviously. But you said, during the pandemic that, you basically jumped in this, and, there are some people who believe that, there's another one coming, right? There's another shutdown. There's some people believe it. I know no matter what, there is an economic downturn that is looming, right? Which could lead to a lot of some of the same situations. Whether we can't go outside or not is neither here nor there. Right. As a fractional CFO, oh yes, not the water. Good job. I caught it though. I caught it.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Bow. Quick. Good.
It's live. We'll leave that in. I got it out. But in what you do, how would you tell somebody to prepare? Or here's another thing, because as a business solution architect, do you have anything for people, whether it's, they get some of this DIY on their own or DFY, done with you, done for you, whatever, that someone could have in place so that when this does happen, they're flipping the switch, because finances completely change.
Yes.
And depressions and recessions. We got inflation and stagflation at the same time going on right now. Like, this is just craziness. What should somebody be prepared to? Because you're the one who managed the fund. And what numbers, what are you even telling your clients? You got to tell them specifically, because they ain't paying you yet.
Yeah.
People not paying you, but give them a little something.
No, and that's a great question, and proves the point of why you need a fractional CFO, right? If you are in business full time for yourself, to help figure out those ebbs and flows and what to do. So one of the things that we do is we strategize out. We do 3, 5, 10 years, right? And I tell them there's room. We're going to wiggle room at 10 and 5, but we need to put a plan in place, because if we have the strategy and the revenue goals and the expense amounts in place, then we can project where we could or may be, right? So that way, if a recession, or when, not if, a recession happens, you're already on target based upon the revenue goals that we've already spent. And quite naturally, like the space that you're in, I operate pretty lean. So of course my strategies are built to have my clients scale to be pretty lean. So when the recessions and things happen, they can still maintain the momentum of where they are. So it goes back to that 6-figure week, right? Yes, we want to duplicate that, but we don't want to spend all of the 6-figure weeks, because that's unnecessary, y'all. Y'all don't, why? What you need to do? What you won't spend that much money on, right? So
if I get 52 6-figure weeks, I'll figure out how to make it work. I promise. I will buy an island.
Right. So, but no, to that point, you could and reinvest it. And those are the things we talk about. All jokes aside, you jokingly tell me, I'm going to take the money and buy an island. All right. Well, we're going to start looking for the island now. How much you think it's going to cost? Can we rent it out? Can we Airbnb out that island for how much money, and put that back into this business? All of the reinvestments in those things are all strategy. They're all a piece of the puzzle that help you. That's why you can't think in the same box as an entrepreneur, and you can't think scared. You can't make scared decisions,
Right.
because with this, the financial decisions you make now are impactful for the years ahead, right? So if you have someone like me strategizing for you, and I'm forward thinking years in advance, and you like, hey, I have had multiple 6-figure weeks over the year, and I want to splurge on this and buy an island, then I'm gonna start strategizing. Okay, the best place to buy this island is here, because the Airbnbs, you can mark this up 150%, and we can reinvest this. So it's not just focused on your business, it's focused on your personal. Because remember, my initial questions are why? Why did you start this? So I cannot, and I do not draw a line and say, no, I don't deal with your personal finances. You need to find somebody to deal with that. No, they all are the same. So we deal with that, right? So if you come to me and you say, I got a multiple 6-figure business, I've been selling out my high ticket offer all week. And yeah, what's your finances look like personally? Oh, I got a $30,000 credit card debt. All right, what's up with that? Let's talk about that. So it all goes together, and it all helps with that longevity piece that you're speaking of, and getting through recessions and getting through even hard times of entrepreneurship when the revenue isn't hitting the goals you thought they were going to hit. That's why you have that sustainability plan in place. And when you hit a spike, you're already, okay, that's a win. And when you hit the low, we're just at sustainability. It's fine, but we're still at a win, right? So that's the key. It all boils down to the strategy. That's when the investment advisors on my team come into place for us to do all of that piece and navigate those puzzles.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I don't encourage. I've kind of forced some of my larger, clients, the ones who, if I'm yours, we always talk about the pivot plan.
Yeah.
Right. Because, as I said, I'm, IT auditor by trade, see my hacker mask over there and all that stuff. But what people don't know is since 2006, 2007, probably beyond that, but that's when I actually got into the field. Companies were required to have a pandemic plan as a part of disaster recovery, a continuity of operations when a pandemic. It's a part of the standards.
Right.
Is you plan for fire, you plan for this, you plan for people being sick, and how you're supposed to test for that. And so many people, so many companies were not ready, big, small, whatever.
Yeah, you're right. I do remember that when I was in the CAO role. We definitely, after the 9/11 thing happened, and that was when it all started playing out, that you had to have these plans. Yeah,
because they were afraid of biological weapons.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so they were telling people, it's like, hey, you need to have, like, I was I actually wrote the IT policy for a large HBCU or whatever, and they were supposed to have a pandemic plan, and this was in 2006, 2007. Yeah, so of course nobody had it.
Yeah.
And I think, and we can't act like it's not going to happen again. Right. Meaning, like I said, it may not be the same, but we got to be open to all possibilities. Nobody ever thought that there would be a time when you couldn't go into anything.
Yeah.
Like, some of my favorite places were closed for 2 years.
I know, right?
Yeah. Like, what's going on here? Like, you can't go to a state. Let's stop playing. So, and I think, from a financial, the same way it is from it, like me, I always have like, hey, look, if this happens, this is something you can easily turn on to make, keep revenue coming in. But at the same time, like you said, there needs to be goals that are met up until that point from a revenue standpoint, because flipping a switch, you flipping the switch, but you need revenue for that, because you got to market. You need to have the stuff in your coffers to make that happen. And you mentioned something. You said, you one of the reasons that you step back, because you kind of got between God and the situation, I'm saying, a little bit of luck here and there kind of helped you out. I think so many people were in denial of that. like they drank their own Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, "Oh, I got this." When I mean, the pandemic was one of the easiest times to make money. Number one, we had, you know, I mean, we had a president, like him or not, all he cared about was business.
Yep. It's true.
That's all he cared about was business. Like he was like, "Yo, business is gonna make money no matter
It's
what."
true.
So he's like, "Cause he got businesses," and he's blind to his own. So like, look, he, you know, all his money's in blind trust, so we can't see it. So
Yeah.
like, whatever I got to do to keep all businesses up, so I can keep making money,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. So that was already set up. Then, you know, people were in positions that they had never been in before, and so you're able to touch. You know, get on Clubhouse, get on Zoom, get on this, get
Right.
on that, and you were able to reach people in a different way. And so a lot of people got lucky. They grew lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But they did not really know a lot of the basics. And so now there's a lot of struggling going on, you know, where they're like, and they're unemployable because they haven't had a job in 3 years.
Yeah.
But I know I'm unemployable. I have not had a boss in 10 years. And I'm not just unemployable because I ain't had a boss. I'm unemployable because I don't want
to work. That part. That's where I am. I can totally respond to one of these LinkedIn requests right now that's sitting in my box that want me to come in and talk to them about a potential opportunity easily. I
get all these headhunters coming in there.
Exactly.
Do you want to be this CISO? Do you want to be audit director? Do you want to do this? Man, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
No. W2, great benefits. All right, cool. I'm not worried about that. That's not me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so in becoming unemployable, you have to have even more things in place.
You do.
You know, with it. So look, we're gonna close down soon. We're reaching an hour, and I can't even like you want to live.
Yeah, and nobody can listen after a certain point. So
I don't know with this joint. I don't know.
It's been fire for me.
I don't know. I think people want to listen because every time you talk, you dropping a gem when you telling them you know made a whole rack of bread and all this kind of stuff. But I want to ask you, what was the worst situation you ever walked into with a client? Everybody coming in great. You're like, don't kind of let you got your together. That's what you be saying.
You know that's what I do.
I remember.
That's not even the worst. That's not even worse. My clients get on, they already know. Like they know. I have this one client, I'm still trying to think of the answer to that, but I have this one client, she dodged me for a couple, she ain't dodged me. She was a little busy, but she could have made time. For a couple months, missed a couple meetings, and finally I pinned her down because I had to go on her Facebook page. And she got on the meeting and she was like this. I know I'm in trouble. I was like, I ain't even said nothing. How you doing? How's it going? So they already know. They called me. I did a live earlier with one of my clients who is a business lawyer. And she was like, she the big mama, where she gonna be like, baby, don't do that no more, okay?
We know you, okay?
So that's what she calls me.
Oh, all my Parkdale people. All right, cool. Kevin. Kevin. All right, because my brother.
Don't be calling out names.
Yes, I stopped. I stopped.
We're not doing this. I'm thinking of the worst client situation. Okay. That I've walked in. You said with a current client or a
whatever.
Potential?
It doesn't matter. I mean, you may have fired them. I don't know.
I did.
I fire clients all the time.
Yeah. That's the thing too, though. Like people have to realize, why are you working in a business with people you don't even want to work with? You could go back and get a corporate job, W-2 job to do that. No, I'm not doing that.
Right. Like don't waste my time.
Yeah, no. So I think the most challenging that comes to mind, there is one client. He only lasted, I think 3 months, maybe. And he perceived to have more money than he said he had because, and this is how my process, this is how you know I ain't have a business plan. I ain't thought this out. It was just like, oh yeah, this works. I'll keep going. That's when I developed these applications I'm telling y'all to go online to do and all the things, because I was just trusting people to say, I made this kind of money last month, and they really wasn't. So that was when I was in his phase. First 6 months, he was making all this money, and he had 3 businesses going on. And he was making all this money. One business he was just kicking off, so it wasn't making money yet, but the other two was going to pay for that one. And once I got into his books, I realized he literally barely had a 3-figure number in any of the bank accounts. And he had 6 bank accounts. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, how am I? You got a 3-figure number spread across 6 why you got 6 bank accounts?
3 figures, like hundreds?
Like hundreds. Like, I think in total,
I'm trying to figure it
in
out.
total, I don't even think he had $1,000. And I had to talk to him and be like, look, you misled me to thinking that you have more. You can't afford my services. You can't afford my services. So we can't continue on. But I'll give you some training so you can know how to do your own QuickBooks, how to do the things, and give you a couple pointers as far as your business plan and model goes. And then you go from there. Oh, no. I got it. It's going to be coming in. And then, of course, you know what happened. He had a hard time paying second month. Then he's taking money personally to pay the third month. And I was like, I can't let you do this. I am a CFO. Like, I cannot.
Right.
There's other coaches, there's different coaching. Like my messaging coach, she could have did that. Right. Call the sales coach. They could do that because they helping you to make the money, right? I'm the CFO. I can't do that. So
if I do share a responsibility to be like, you need to cut this.
Yeah. so look, that was one hard one from a client that came in new from the beginning.
And you ain't done this the whole time. You frustrated just thinking about it. I'm sorry. Is that a trigger?
It is.
Did I take you to a place you didn't want to be in? But look, okay, so look, this is great. This is great that you said that. So is your training that you have for people who need to get to that place? Because my goal is there are people watching right now who like, I need to call you now, right? There are some people that are like, I need to call you, but I'm not ready for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so you have training. So is it one-on-one training? Is it automated training? What is it?
So that's the space too that I've been working to talk to the pain points of people who go to my website or go to my social media. The person who like, I don't think I'm ready for her, or I don't think I can afford her, is, I don't know if y'all can tell from my energy, I don't give a shit. This is a judgment-free zone. Like, I studied accounting and finance in college, but I jacked up. You don't remember? So I started out at Maryland, but then I had a baby at 19. So I ended up finishing. Oh, it's been 25 years.
Right. 25 years. I don't know.
I ended up, and that's a part of my journey and my story, is I ended up finishing online at Strayer because I had to get a job and support. I was a single mom at 19 and raised my kid. And along that
23-year-old?
22. Yeah.
Yep, I feel old. It's cool.
Yes. And along that journey, though, I jacked up my own finances. I ran up credit cards. Right. I got into ridiculous debt, tore up my credit score. But all in all, I knew that I enjoyed accounting, in the world of accounting. So I don't ever want people to think just because of where I came from and the amount of money that I came from in the C-suite and managing overall means that you can't afford me, because I work in the entrepreneur space for a reason. I could still be doing business consulting and making $25,000 a month per contract doing business advisory level work. And that was how I mastered up so quickly in my multiple 6 figures in my first couple of years, because I stayed in that lane. But it was one day when I decided to cut all my hair off, and I was sitting in the salon chair, and she's venting to me about how she's tired of being behind the chair, but she booked and you can't get on her calendar for 6 months, and she killing it, making $2,000-$3,000 a week. That my wheels started turning, that my expertise is needed in this space. And in order for me to serve the people in this space, I have to build this platform for them, right? So I do have something we haven't talked about yet, which is a membership called Crushing It Collectively. And in that membership, you do get the QuickBooks training. There's some one-on-one training in there, but there's a content vault that houses all the trainings I've done in the past. You can go look at those and get help on bank reconciliations and all of those things. All of my master classes are in there. All of the master classes that I do when you join Forward are free for you. They're usually $97 each. The replays live in there. You could always reflect back on there. There's debt trackers in there, expense trackers, budget templates. It's so much in the content vault that can help you to get there. And then depending on the levels of the membership, you can get a one-on-one with me once a month to either get support in the areas where you need it. Or there's a one time a month Q&A session where you can jump in the Q&A on Zoom once a month. I pop in and you can pop in and ask whatever questions, what you're having issues with this month. I also use an app in that program called Voxer. I'm not sure if you heard of it.
Yes, yes.
So you get Voxer access to me where, I mean, I got Vox clients, I can scroll for days and they'll Vox me at any point. And if I happen to be up, like you have experienced and it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll answer the Vox question. So depending on the level of access, there's a signature and premier. It starts at $97 to $750 a month. But there's room, right? So you can start at, if you can't afford $97 a month, you do not have a business.
This is true.
That's it. Oh, and an important piece that's in that space, actually, there's a collaboration space in there. There's a private Facebook group where this was important for me for my fractional CFO clients too, because since I'm all in their business of their personal things that's happening, I would see consistent things happening between the clients, but because of the confidentiality, I can't be like, hey, Carl, call Kelly because she got this and she can help you. So I was like, hey, how about I develop a space and just throw them all in the pool together and they can figure it out and collaborate. And so it's a beautiful space to get somebody that you could potentially collaborate with, become your client, share resources, share referrals. There's 40 to 50 people that come to the Zoom meetings twice a month on 2nd and 4th Thursdays. And it's called Gifts, Goals, and Gaps. I partner with this bomb girl named Deanna Jean. And we go in there and entrepreneurs get to talk about what's your gift. And in your gifted area, what's your gap and what's your goal? What's your goal and what's the gap that's stopping you from reaching the goal? And then people help you in that space too. So yeah, between the membership, the bookkeeping, and fractional CFO, if you're a full-time business owner, we got something for you.
So like I said, I went to the website when we first booked it, and as you were talking, I was kind of looking, and y'all. So, commas with Kelle, commas with a K, Kelle with an E. .com. Just go look. No, I'm just saying, just go look. It's something there for you. There's a couple things there for me, and I'm like, all right. So I gotta, I
can't believe we've been talking for hours. This is fun. We got
Yeah, we really do, because like this, so you're hitting what we need. I was just actually talking to someone yesterday. I just had business conversations. I love having business conversations about how there are great things that are like earn your leisure, right? Everybody loves leisure. They're huge. Just had Invest Fest, all that type of stuff, and they give a lot of advice. They have a lot of people on and they talk. But there's this level that is missing between the lay person, the entrepreneur, that and to get to those, to even be able to do those things. And a lot of times we don't even have the time to do it.
Yes.
Or it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, you say it like it's simple, but I don't mean it's easy.
Yeah, no. And not even just the time though, right? You don't even know what you don't know.
Right.
I didn't know I needed somebody like you to teach me sales when I started 2-3 years ago. I didn't know I needed that.
Like,
So you don't know you need a fractional CFO. And speaking of InvestFest, I don't know if you've seen the clip of Puffy. I think I just aged myself, but you the same age, so I don't know what his name is now, but it's
I
still
think it's love.
I don't know, whatever.
I
Sean
think
Combs.
right.
So, right. But he was on the InvestFest stage and they were doing a discussion, and he said he recently fired his business manager and hired a CFO. And he did that in his business. I actually screen recorded the clip because I told my social media manager we're gonna start circulating because it's what I say in every single talk I do. It's because he realized that after all these years, he's just now realizing he needs somebody to keep eyes on his money and tell him what's happening with his money. And that's exactly what a CFO does. We provide, tell you the story behind your numbers and what's happening.
No, that's crazy. This has been wonderful. I was getting ready to say something else, but I think that's what it was. No, it was about Puff. Okay, it's about Puff. I gotta say it now. I was about to say we can save it for the next one. So, like I said, have a conversation with my boy Chris. He's a serial entrepreneur. He has a bunch of different businesses that he runs. Like he's doing he does electric bikes. You know, he had the largest fleet of Bird franchise in DC. Like, you know, all type of stuff. Has a catering company, but he doesn't cook. Crazy. So that type of stuff. And what he said was, it was like, man, Diddy don't know what he really has right now. You know, he's made money off of the music, he's made money off the products, the services, things like that. But what his legacy could be,
right,
getting into this information age stuff and opening doors for the people who are in the high six figures. You know, you ain't quite crest 7, but it's like I'm opening the door for you to have conversations with the people that made me who I am. So, you know, once a month, there's somebody like you're able to talk to my attorney. Then the next month you're talking to my CFO. Then the next month you're talking to this and talking to that. And it's like, oh, wow. And people will pay 25, 50K a month just to be in the room.
Yep.
And one thing that I am learning heavy is the power of proximity. It's like you get in the room with it's like people pay, because I always wanted, like I've been going to these things since the Dan Kennedy days. 2002, I went to my in the 90s when I was in high school, I went to my first like conference. My pastor took me. But then after that, seeing the Dan Kennedys, and I was at the very first Funnel Hacker Live, all this type of stuff, and I never really understood why people would buy these platinum packages, these VIP packages, these super. I'm like, yeah, you're paying $100,000 just to walk through the door and sit down with some people. There's something about that
level of proximity.
That proximity, being around people who are gonna drive you, who are gonna push you. The one relationship you may get, the one tip or the one trick, because the thing is, when all of you have invested a lot, you're a lot less secretive.
It's true. That Lord, see, we said we was gonna stop, and now just I am literally going to a CBC right after we get off this and get myself together. I'm going to a CBC event tonight that I paid to be in the room. I'm likely going to be the only accountant, probably. I know I'm going to be the only CFO, likely the only accountant. It is a event for healthcare professionals. Do you think I'm scared as hell and I'm uncomfortable? Hell yeah. But you know why? I said, I'm just going to pay. I'm just going to pay it. And I literally, as I'm trying to talk myself out of it, I just pull out the card and I just start processing the payment. On Sunday afternoon, I sent a text to 2 of my clients one's a psychologist and one's a doctor, to see if I could wheel them over with me, right? So I can have a security blanket to go with me. They wasn't responding. And I knew if I sat at that computer and waited for them, I was going to talk myself out of it because I'm afraid to be in the room with those people, right? But I know I need to be in the room with those people because they are my target high ticket audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to do it. And that's just what you're saying. People have, if you feel uncomfortable, you need to click the button and you need to be there.
And that's one of the hardest things I try to get our people to see.
Yeah.
The only way to succeed is to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. And do it by yourself. Stop waiting for people.
No, look, only one person can swim at a time.
I'm out.
Look, there are certain things you can only do. I can't go to the bathroom for you.
Nope.
I can't eat for you. I can't sleep for you. I honestly can't make money for you.
Mm-mm. You can give them all the tips, all the strategy. You can even give them a well-written plan to tell them how to get there.
Tell me about it.
But the execution part.
And I'm telling people all the time, the less you pay, the worse your results.
Yeah.
Because all you're focusing on is not losing.
Yeah.
When you open up your checkbook, I'm getting real old. When you open up your checkbook and you write those 4-5 figure one-time things that's going to change what you do, that's when you're focused on the success.
Yeah.
When you sit there and you try to, hem and haw, and what we've been trained and taught to do is, bring down the value. Okay, let me negotiate all this, that, and the other. No, you're already operating from a deficit mindset, and you're not going to get the result you want. When somebody gives you a price, pay it.
Yeah.
If you believe that it will work, pay the cost.
Which is why I said I'm making less this year than I did the other two, because I knew I needed to pay that and invest and scale back in my business, because I know next year, my goal next year is to double what I made in year 2. So I know I now have the strategies because I've invested what you're talking about in the coaching that I needed. And I invested that much because I procrastinate. If I don't pay enough, it's hard. I play Planet Fitness. Matter of fact, let me write this down right now.
You can't. Look, me too. But look, hold on, wait. Here's the crazy thing. I got a Planet Fitness account that I ain't canceled. I got a SportFit account that I need to use. I ain't done it yet. That's why you see I'm fat. But
you are not fat.
I ain't stood up yet.
You will not do that. You're not.
But anyway. But what's crazy about all of that, in my backyard, right? I have a 1,400 square foot concert hut with fitness equipment in it.
Yeah.
I paid little for all of that. So it's not important.
Yeah.
But guess what? The stuff in this office, I done paid back for.
Yeah.
And guess where I live? In this office.
Yeah. That's how it works. You will utilize what you invest in because you don't want to waste your money.
And I've heard people say,
still getting all our money. That's why Planet Fitness is still open. People used to go to Planet Fitness just on pizza day before COVID.
Right. And now people don't go. Like
now people just letting it like us. It's just come out and we just I'm
gonna tell you something. You know why I got Planet Fitness?
Why?
Because anywhere in the country that I am, on road trips, this, that, and the other, I know there's a bathroom I can use.
Thought you was gonna say you was gonna go to the gym.
Nope. I could pee.
Oh, that's funny. That's actually, if you do the math on that, that's a hefty price to pay to have somewhere to pee, no matter what.
Hey! I ain't heard you yet.
That's funny.
Don't you know? But literally, it's a high price. It's a high price bathroom, but it's immaterial.
Yeah.
The amount is so immaterial. We got to start making material investments. Find out the number that makes you scared. Find a program that works for you and pay it. I remember writing the first time I did a $10,000 program. I paid for that joint. I was like, yo, I'm really doing this. I'm doing this scared. And I spent thousands and thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on stuff.
Yeah.
But that was the one that was like, I got it. And the thing is, I went into it very similar how I did all of them. Like, I'm a, dabble. I was like, hold up, I paid 10K for this. So I said, this is the only one I'm gonna do.
That's it. That's it. Because you got to focus.
Right. Because it creates spending the bread creates a focus for you, which is why we cannot afford to be cheap. Yeah. We can't afford to charge the prices that you think you can afford, because then you won't get changed. I posted the other day, actually I reposted somebody else that said, if it costs you less than $5,000, it's not going to change your life. And there were so many people that were like, you can't say that. I'm like this. I'm not listening to y'all. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I understand that may have sound a little bit offensive. No, because a few $1,000 right now would change your family's life very easily. I understand what you're saying. I get it, and I'm sensitive to that. Mm-hmm. But you're not understanding what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking to entrepreneurs. I'm talking to people who saw this and they felt it. Yeah. Like they're like, you're right. Because how many times have you bought a $9.97 product? It didn't hurt.
And you never even opened it. Never clicked.
I got so many $1,200 products that I ain't touched.
Never clicked on.
But you know that 10K joint?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even do a payment plan. I paid it all of it.
You gotta fill it. Because the payment plan, if they had spread it across 3-6 months, you would have did the same thing because you didn't see it all in one.
Exactly. But when that number dropped, I'm like, oh my, I really just did it. Yeah. And it hurt. Yeah. But it wasn't a stab hurt. It was a weightlifting hurt. Mm-hmm. Because when that muscle grew back, like, oh shoot. But now you know what I do? I ain't got no problem charging somebody 10K.
Yeah. And you're doing a disservice when you're not charging your value and your worth. And you're probably missing your ideal audience. Because I mean, if you too cheap, then I'm gonna be like, what you doing? What you really doing over there?
Right. Like so this episode comes out Monday, right? So today's Monday, the whatever Monday it is. I don't know what day of the week it is in real life, but it's a struggle. But anyway, so this past Saturday, because I honor the Sabbath, I actually have an episode going up. I was talking about the blessing to sell, right? Mm-hmm. In Proverbs 11, and what it says, it says a man who hoards is cursed, right? Who hoards his grain is cursed. We understand that, mm-hmm. right? But it says, but the man who sells is blessed. Mm-hmm. It didn't even say give away.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Oh man, preaching. Yeah.
No, like seriously, and you know, for those who missed it, go back and watch it. But I talked about, Joseph in the time of famine, when he saved up for the 7 good years, 3.5 good years or whatever. I mean, 7 good years. And then when the famine came, he didn't give the food away.
He sold it.
He sold it to his own brothers.
Yeah, no, I never even looked from that perspective. No, that's good. Yeah, no, that's good.
So yeah, so giving stuff away, it's that you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. That's literally the thing.
Yeah, you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
But I'm not teaching you for free. That's what people forget. We don't teach for. We're not giving because you're eating for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. I'm giving you something that's gonna last you a lifetime. I'm gonna give it to you for free. Yeah. So look, this has been wonderful. It has. I need you to close. Okay, I need you to close. Here's a closer. Here's your closer. All right. Either a piece of advice that you give consistently, or that you receive that changed your life. Which one is it?
Oh God. No. I feel like I've given a lot of advice today, so I'm gonna do one that I receive consistently. And that is to trust myself, which may seem surprising for many people. I'm very indecisive in most of my decision making, and it has halted a lot of growth in many areas, business and professionally. So if I can turn that advice over to you guys and say, trust yourself. You took this leap to entrepreneurship to be full time, and you got lights to keep on and stomachs to feed. You gotta trust yourself and trust God in the decisions that you make.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Friends with Businesses with Kelle Thorpe. I'm encouraging you right now. Go to Commas with Kelle. That's Commas with a K, Kelle with an E.com. And sign up now. Get at the very least, get the $97 monthly membership. Do that now. As she said, if you can't afford $97 to have a good financial business, then you need to call me because I'm gonna have to help you get some money real quick. You're like, we got ways of getting money up like that. Like we're gonna do that. But sign up for that.
Yes.
Because it's like you need it. We all need what she has. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we don't go on an hour, folks. Like we're probably gonna end up doing this again. We actually got to find a way to collaborate because I think there's some good
I think so.
there.
Yeah, let's talk about that offline.
So yeah, y'all definitely gonna do that. So all right, y'all. It's been real. This has been Friends with Businesses, where you meet my friends with businesses, and I see and we know that you're gonna benefit. I'll let y'all later.